I'm so pumped to dive in with you on how to create animated overlays and just different effects that you can create and really think outside the box when it comes to the functionality of Ecamm Live. A lot of the things that we'll be doing are based on maybe some fonts that you use, and we'll definitely have links to ones that we highly recommend that you use and where you can find these. In addition to making sure your brand colors are installed so that you know what that hex number is, or HEX number, so you can specifically get the right color codes for your brand images. But if you have those, then this will be something you'll really enjoy using. Let's start off by creating something very simple, but also something very unique, which is an animated overlay. When it comes to the text, we'll go ahead and share our screen here so you can see everything with Ecamm. This is all really going to be done in the overlays panel. I love to keep things organized, so we'll start off with a folder, and we will call this the lower third. Or I'll go ahead and put Diana lower third. So that way I'll know exactly if it's for me or if it's for someone else. Let's say a guest, then that's fine. But we want to start this off for you specifically. And we'll go ahead and check this arrow down. So anything that we add to, we can see where that's coming from. So once we have that folder built out, what we want to do is go ahead and click on the text icon here. And this will come up with text image already there. We'll go ahead and delete this for the moment, but we want to say, let's call this the back image, and everything of what we've previously done in the previous module is still there. Let's start with our background first. And let's say we want to make this a type of a pink, and we'll make this background the same color type of a pink. So when we click away, you can still see it outside of this shadow. So I want to highlight that and remove that shadow effect. And now it's practically invisible. So I'm going to exit out of that. And if I wanted to increase the size of that, then I can. But the only reason I have some text here is just to make sure that the box is big enough. And we're going to go ahead and click add. Now this will add a box that we can use, reshape and resize however we see fit. There's a pencil tool here. Then this will bring up this box again. And if we need 2 layers or something like that, then we can do that. This is okay for now. Let's go ahead and say, that'll be fine. We'll leave it just as is. But instead of this being a fixed position up here, we have a lot of options, and this is what's going to animate these for us. Let's say we want this one to come in from the right. So when we click save on this, and then we click on the eyeball, when it goes away, it goes off to the right, and it comes on to the right. So we have our first layer here. Let's go ahead, and if we want to duplicate this, we can hit the option and then drag it down. So I'll hit this here, and we'll just call this second image. You can see that text there. But we'll need to change the overall color of the background. Let's pick something else. Let's say we want to use, let's just go with a nice white. And then we'll change that text to a white as well. And so now that is completely invisible. We hit save. And we want to have one in the background and one on top, and just drag this out. And we can always rearrange this because it's working in layers. So we add this to the top. I call that second image. We'll call this first image. We can always add spaces in between and click save. And so now let's say I want something like this here, and I kind of like that. So let's add these. I'm gonna highlight both by holding the command and clicking them, and drag them into the folder. So now I can see first image, back image, and so forth. But this one here, this white one, we don't want this one, let's say, to fly in from the right. Let's have this one fly in from the top, and then click save. So now if we make this whole folder disappear, everything goes off, and we hit reappear, you see how it's starting to come together. Let's go ahead and now move these. We'll link these together. So if we hit that link button, that way we can move it down. Let's move our icons off the screen so we can see. And let's say we want that about there, like a traditional lower third. We're going to add one more text box so that we could just honestly replace where it says first image text, but we want to keep that box a solid box. And we want, let's say, to make it a little bit more dynamic and put our name. So I'm going to hit the text, but this time I'm going to remove the background, because I actually do want this text visible now. So I'll put Diana and Gladney, and I can actually make multiple font options here. So let's say I want to use the Montserrat or the thin. It's a little too thin. Let's try light, medium. And this one is, let's try bold. And then you can change the colors. You can add that shadow effect, and let's test and see what this looks like, and click add. And because this is white, that's not going to look the best. So we can change that to whatever color that we want. Let's go down here for our text color. And we have the pink that we've been operating from. So let's try that. And let's go here and hit save. Now we can bring this on top of the image here, drag it and drop it until it gets somewhere about what we like. And we can still bring this in and bring that out some. And there, that way it's fitting a little bit better. Let's go ahead and bring this down into where our area is so that all of them are doing the same thing. Let's double click on the pencil for our name. And let's say we want this to fly in from the bottom. And let's click save. Let's link all of these together so they operate as one whole unit. So if you ever wanted to move these around, you could, or readjust them as a group. You could. Actually, let me go back. You still want to lock these into place so that way they don't move. And then if you want to readjust things, you can, but we have everything locked in place here. But linking them together is fantastic because that way nothing is going to move. So we have that linked in and locked. So when it disappears, it's gone. When it reappears, now things are starting to flow in. I think I mistakenly didn't hit save on my name piece here. So let's make sure we do that. And then, yep, we forgot to change that. So let's say that comes in from, let's say the top. And then let's click save. So now when it disappears and reappears, we now have an animated lower third that's working out really well for us. And so we can choose to keep this on the screen if we like, or we can choose to minimize it. But because it's in a folder, when it comes from one scene to the next, let's go from countdown timer to the other one. Alrighty, that is very nicely done. So what we can do is actually create a copy of this. And if you hit and hold the Option key and then drag and drop, then you'll be able to create a duplicate. And so this will make a copy for us, and the copy, or whether it's the original one, it's fine. It doesn't matter either way. I'll go ahead and add this to the other folder here and then bring the original one, keep this one in the scene, and we'll name this for Diana lower third. And then because I intend to put this in the +1 section, I'm just going to add +1 so I can see some bit of a distinction between the two of these. And I have that one in the show all scenes. So when I go down here to the screen share of the +1 with a guest, now that I'm here, I already have my name set there. So because that's here, all I'm going to do is cheat and bring this down here. Now, what we want to do is delete some of these other things that were other effects that came from other scenes that we had and clean this up a bit. And so now let's go to make sure that we are organized. Let's start by putting things in folders. Call this host assets, and then we'll create a second folder called guest assets. And this created a subfolder. I actually don't want it to be there. I want it to be its own main folder. So I'm gonna drag that out. Alrighty, so it's myself and these folders, and then the guest has folders. So I'm gonna put this guest one camera there, and then my camera, I'm going to add this to my folder there. So now things are starting to look way more organized. The more things that you add to your overlays panel as you're adding in more effects, you want to be as organized as possible to keep your efficient streams operating efficiently. I'm even going to go so far as to rename this image from the file name to background image, so I know what that is. The original file will actually maintain the name, but so we know what we're looking at in Ecamm, we know why or where to change something or if to leave something alone. So let's adjust our lower third and actually duplicate this so that we're ready to go when we bring on a guest, and we can also change their name without needing to make too many changes. Now, once you probably set this, you can forget about it once it's done, but we just need to initially make these changes. I still have the link connection set up here so that as I move things around, I can keep them set up in one whole shebang. But I just want to bring it in so it's a little bit cleaner per person's name. And I'm just going to bring these images and the background just and clean that up a little bit. Alrighty. And so as I move this as one whole group, it still operates as one whole group. It's just I can adjust these individual effects if I prefer. Okay, so I think that looks pretty clean. Let's say I want to bring this in here. Let's say something like that there. I'm going to go ahead and lock all of these. So that looks pretty good to me. Just making some refinements just to bring things in a bit. And so what's happening here while you're seeing this, just in case you do see that, remember we added text to this specific background image right here. If we double click on this, we can actually get rid of some of this extra space. and just keep this pretty bare if we prefer, and click save. And so that way it's not going to jump as much. It's just the text that's kind of throwing things out of whack. So if we bring that here, same thing for the second image, just double click on it, or over here, we can double click on it and highlight some stuff and get rid of that word and just click save. Then we can bring this in a little bit more cleaner. Now that we can say that that's pretty good, what we can do with this link symbol on, so everything stays in the same dimensions more or less, we want to hit the option button and hold that down, and we'll drag this over to the right, and the Ecamm would automatically make sure that that is copied over exactly. That way we don't have to recreate or try to get things pretty much so all right. It's pretty good as is right there. So let's say you're someone that prefers to keep your lines and everything very straight, and this is just bothering you that maybe things are moving a little too wildly that you prefer. So let's go ahead. You can hit the shift button and hold that down, and that will nudge things over just a little bit with your left and right arrows on your keyboard. Or if you hold down the option key, and if you go, it'll nudge it even ever so slightly just to make sure it's exactly the way that you want. And that looks pretty exact on actually. Let's just go ahead and bring this down just a smidge. And that right there, it's pretty good right there. Now over here in the overlays, this may start to freak some of you out. So what we want to do is collapse the one that has my name. That one is correct. We do want to change this name to +1 guest name. So instead of my name, we're going to double click this to change the guest name and click save. So that way, depending on who we're bringing on, we know whose folder is which, and we can leave this here. You usually won't ever have to change yours. You may just have to constantly change that guest person's name. And so what we want to do here is just make sure that their name is actually on top. That's the most accessible folder, because that's the one we're probably going to change the most. We don't want to change too much of anything else. And so far, just with a basic free image and all of the things that are within Ecamm, we can now come and we can set it so that if the names are coming from the Just Me scene and someone is calling in and they decide that they want to join and you click on the button, you will now have both persons' name fly in. That's really, really neat. So let's go through and adjust our countdown timer scene. And let's say you want to now add a scrolling ticker. This is a good way to say, join this number by calling in, or leave your feedback by clicking on this link, or join in to the call-in show by clicking on this link URL. And so let's say we want to add those details to a scrolling ticker, just like you would see on the news at the bottom of the screen. But we want to do this in the countdown timer scene. So let's switch over. So here we are on our countdown timer, and we had music playing previously as well as our main microphone muted as well. We've unmuted that so that we can progress on here so you can hear and see everything that's going on. Let's say we want to add a scrolling ticker. Let's say we have a call-in show and we want people to call in and leave a voicemail at a specific number. What we want to do is come down here to our text screen overlay, and this is where you can choose to have a background or not have one. We'll keep it with what we've been usually working with here, and we'll say call in to 555-0123 to leave your feedback. And before we hit add, we come up here to the style. You'll see all of those same animations that we had to have the text come in from a certain direction, but we now at the bottom have scrolling ticker, and we can click add. And now you'll see that this is up here, but that's not where we're traditionally used to seeing things. And we can drag this bar when we see those up and down arrows so that it's the right size, and the text automatically resizes as well. And so the closer that you are to the hair, between the tortoise and the hare, the faster that text is scrolling. You do want to make it easy for people to read, or if it's a call to action like it is here, make sure it's something that they can see, comfortably dial, look back up from their phone, and get the rest of the numbers. But that's okay, but we can make this a little bit better. If we double click on this again, let's say after call in, we actually want to add an emoji of an actual smartphone. So we can add any emojis that we want. We can resize these specifically however we want. And then we click save. And so now we have where it says call in with a smartphone emoji or anything that you're used to using there, so that this is now available. So now we can change things so our countdown timer is operating the way that we want to. We'll resume the actual time and resume the music and mute ourselves so our scene is back to where it needs to be. So now we've been able to add a lower third that's animated. We've been able to go in and add a scrolling ticker that's now animated. But let's add something that's very unique to Ecamm, and you are absolutely going to be blown away by this. Let's add some on-screen animations as we begin to wrap up our show. Now, because we can operate and manipulate text on the screen, we do want to make some changes here. So let's go into our screen share functions. For the purposes right now, let's say that we do want to go ahead and leave things as they are. But let's go to our end of show and make adjustments here first, because I think this is probably where it's going to be best received. And because we had music playing as well as ourselves muted, we've reverted those changes for the purposes of this part here. But let's say we want to have some screen share overlays. Let's add a text here. We're going to use more or less the same operations that we did with the other options, but let's just add a period here. And then we're going to highlight that, undo the effect so that there's no shadow. And let's make sure the text is white as well. So now it's pretty much invisible. And then we'll come down here to hit add. But let's say I want to do a pink background, something like that. Then let's change the text as well, also to that pink background. And so now that's pretty much invisible. And then instead of a fixed position, let's say this is going to come in from the right. And then we'll click. Well, actually, you know what? Before I change that again, let's go ahead and make sure that we have points on our sides. So now we can click add. And so that doesn't look really fantastic at all. But we're not done just yet. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. And I'm just using my mouse to fill in the sizes here. And let's say I want to bring this all the way to this side here. Stick with me. I think you're really going to enjoy what we're building here. So now we have this, but it's blocking what we previously built. So that's not fantastic. What we can do though is make sure that as we're adjusting things, we just have it adjusted just a smidge here. And I kind of want to bring this to as much to the center as much as possible here. And then we want to go ahead, if we hold down shift, we can make this a little transparent. All right, because we can duplicate as well. Let's go ahead and hit option and duplicate and slide this over. And it's okay that it's not quite even. Some of you may be freaking out, but it is quite all right. We will live. But let's bring this over just a smidge more, readjust those boxes. Now, why not just do one big box? That's the same thing, because we're not done yet. So let's double click on this pink box and let's change the background to, let's say, a gold or something like that. Let's change this to a gold as well. Close that out and make sure that's invisible. Perfect. Let's hit save. And then, so now what we'll do is create a folder so we can keep things organized. And we will call this shaded background. And we will drop that arrow down and bring these T's here were for text, right? So that this is all in one whole shebang. But let's say for the gold, instead of it coming in from the right, we'll bring this in from the left and click save. We'll link these together, close our folder and condense that down. But since it's on top of the image, the thanks for watching isn't that visible. So we'll bring this down so that the thanks for watching is on top. We can click on that and choose, and because we can hold shift and just scroll with our mouse, we can choose for the thanks for watching to be a little bit more visible. Let's unshade this. We'll go ahead and hit the pencil tool just so the shaded background will make that opacity a little bit darker. Not all the way 100%. We do want some transparency there. Just experiment here. Let's click save. And then that way our thanks for watching is still visible, but our ladies are, one's in yellow, one's in pink. Let's make this again a little bit more dynamic. Let's double click on our thanks for watching. And instead of this being in a fixed position, let's bring this and have it fly in from the bottom. And we'll hit save. And our end scene image, there's not a lot that we're going to do here, so we can just leave that as is. But we also can bring this into our folder and bring that at the bottom. And well, actually on the top, but underneath the folder. So now when we disable this and we re-enable it, isn't that cool? That looks so good. Way better than just what we had. And it's a nice close to what we were doing. And if you want, you can come back in here to the thanks for watching. If you think that the background needs to be a little bit darker, you can, and bring that opacity up so it's a smidge darker, but not quite. So it still has some bits of translucence there. We'll hit X hit save. And so now when we hide everything and make everything reappear, that looks way better. So to finish testing this out, let's go ahead and finish up our end of the screen scene so that you can see exactly how this transitions to when you end your actual live stream or your show.